Okay, you have to follow my Twitch now, Wittinho.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Hello and welcome everyone to Ero F3. Why is everyone like in the pits? Are you in the lobby house?
Can I get it? No, I have no invite.
I actually haven't commentated on this game. I don't know how this works. There is actually only 11 drivers here. This is not what you love to see. What happened to ERO? What happened to league racing? I swear every league's got like 11 drivers at the moment. Oh, you're appearing offline. That means I have to scroll so far to find you. You not just appear online. There we go. Why did you appear offline?
I have no idea.
Okay. Okay.
So I can ignore invites. I don't want to join.
Now after, hold on. Where is the ERO stream? That's PC2. This is F3. Oh, you'll only comment.
I have a great comment.
I actually only know like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I know more names than I thought I did. There's quite a few names here that I don't know though. I don't know who this Pangri guy is. I don't know who Gax is.
I know 4 guys, I think.
Edzak's on an invalidated lap, so he's probably going to pit, I'd imagine. He's low on fuel as well. Ivan also invalidated, pitting. Fry has not invalidated, so he's just coming through the middle sector on medium tyres. P2 Pancree on mediums as well as Ivan in P6. I mean, to be fair, with only 11 drivers, you kind of should qualify in the medium, shouldn't you?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
if you qualify last, you can choose me. Ah, he's invalidated at the last corner. Oh, that's so sad for Fry. He's going to complete the lap anyway just to get a delta, but 1:17.7. That would have put him P4. Yeah, so that's quite sad. Who's the Patuka just started the lap? So this ride on board with Patuka as he comes into turn 1, braking just before the 50 metre, probably about 70 metres, and he's invalidated at turn 1. Just went a little bit too wide at turn 1. Really, you wanna brake kind of halfway between the 50 and 100 metre marker boards, and then kind of turn in at the 50. I think you use 6th gear through turn 1. 5th if you want to be safe. Let's see, Fry has invalidated his second outlap as well, so he's going to spin. No, he's not. He's caught it. Very nice stuff there from Fry. Well, I mean, not. He's invalidated, but you know. Meanwhile, his teammate Kai is coming out of the pits for an outlap, so we'll ride on board with him since he's the most likely person to set a lap. In a minute, he's on the soft tire. And he's gone straight on. Oh, well, backwards. How have you spun there? That's a really strange place to spin. Interesting. So just looking at the field here. We've got 2 Hasses, 2 Ferraris, 2 Williamses, 2 McLarens, 1 AlphaTauri, 1 Alfa Romeo and 1 Mercedes. So quite a few cars, like just teams, just missing from the grid. I wonder what happened. I wonder what happened to all the reserves and stuff. Let's have a look on the Discord, see what's going on with attendance. as Kai starts his lap in. Let's just ride on board so we can see what he's doing here. As I said, braking between the 150, just about keeping it on track. Of course, any part of the tyre in contact with the white line is legal. As soon as the entire tyre crosses over the white line, that's when your lap gets invalidated. So all this extra space he's using on these curbs is allowed. Using the curb, of course, into braking to extend the track and entry. Using second gear there. I know some people prefer third through the hairpin. I know some people who don't even use second throughout the whole lap. Now coming, he's going to lift, maybe should have downshifted to the right-hander, but using third through the uphill, maybe could have short-shifted to fourth, but this is F3, so it's not going to be your super precise F1 guys, or F2 guys. He's run wide there on the apex. That's a shame. Quite a off-camber corner there, quite easy to understeer off the track. And unfortunately Kai has fallen victim to that one this time.
Meanwhile, the Mercedes is on a fast lap.
Is that Gui? Yeah,
yes.
Gui coming through, also choosing to hold 7th through there. Also not getting on the traction quite as early as he could have. But let's see, coming up to the middle sector split now, how it's looking. As welcome to everyone just joining now. It's a purple middle sector. He's 2/10 up. Of course, you have to remember that the game does give purple middle sectors to literally everyone all the time. But seeing as he's 2/10 up, I'd assume that it's actually telling the truth this time. Final corner now, just keeping it tidy, not risking too much with track limits, and using all of his his ERS very early on the straight. So he's going to be derating all the way down to the line now. But it is a 16.4 regardless. And a very solid lap there from Gui. Who's next across the line? It's going to be the McLaren of Cones, who's invalidated, and Masiek, who's right behind him on a valid lap on medium tyres, maybe taking a bit of a narrow line there for the final corner. Could have let it understeer a bit more to get on the traction a bit earlier, would have gained him a bit of time. Of course, minimising the distance down to the line, also running out of the RS, but it's going to be a 17.7, good enough for 5th place on medium tyres. I'm sure he will definitely take that one, as we have, I think that's Ivan coming to the final corner now, also using up all of his ERSB, is on a valid lap on the soft tyre. Let's see what it is as he crosses the line. It's going to be a 17.4, puts him P4 just ahead of his teammate there on the soft tyre. Coming up next we have Edzak, also keeping his lap valid, but he is going to bail out and pit, unfortunately for him. As for Gongax, he is a long way down, so I assume he's bailed out of this lap. And we're back round to Fryer here. Let's see what Fryer is able to do through the last corner here, keeping it on the track. It looks like he has the fuel to do multiple runs. Again, running out of VRS long before the line, but he's going to cross the line with a 16.9, putting in P4, so people finally getting some laps in. Only 3 drivers yet to set a lap, and I believe one of them is about to cross the line now, Cones, as he was on the medium tyre. Obviously you can do 2 runs on the medium, so he's fueled up for 2 runs. He's done a 17.0, very good lap there on the medium. It's not quite as fast as Pangri, but good enough for 5th place as it is, leaving us with only 2 drivers yet to set a lap, both of whom are in the pits and will have one more attempt at lap. What are you thinking, Huisman? Who's going to get pole as Jason443 joins? I don't know if Jason...
I think if the Alfa Romeo of Pangri goes on the soft, he might get a possibility to get pole position.
But do you not think that he might choose the mediums in order to have the advantage in the race and just start second?
But when you get pole, you get 1 extra point. Maybe he wants that.
Maybe. I need to check. Routinho said proof, but he hasn't actually shown any proof. Ah, yeah, okay, he has. Routinho has upheld his end of the promise.
Now he's a loyal subscriber.
He is. As Patuka comes out onto track. Or comes into the pits.
Into the pits.
Kai, however, is out on the track very early, obviously just trying to get a lap in, of course. Alright, now let's see, as Kai starts his lap here, what's he going to be able to do? Hopefully he keeps it within track limits at turn 1 this time, as he brakes pretty well there, 6th gear holding it, that's nice on the track limits, not really risking too much as you would expect from a lap this desperate, not really getting on the power as early as he could, so losing a bit of time in general through this section. Into the hairpin now. Very clean, using all of the width on exit to get that traction down. Let's see as he throws it to the right hander and up the hill, looking good, no problems with oversteer or anything like that, so should be good. Misses the apex of the right hander there, but does keep it on the track. He's gone purple in the middle sector, but as I said before, that's not really reliable, but it is at least valid this time round, as long as he can keep it on the track through the final corner. Just about does so, so there should be no issues as he runs up to the line, of course running out of VRS just like everyone else has. Comes up to the line and he's going to put in a 16.9 on the softs, puts him just behind his teammate Fryer. 200 separating the two drivers there, and only 4,000 separating Edzak and Fryer, so quite close here in this midfield at the moment. Let's see. Everyone
meanwhile,
else
Spangry going out on the softs. He might get pole now.
Ah, yeah, that's a good catch actually. Gui starting a lap now, so he could also improve, remember. So let's see how Gui drives here. The fastest driver in the session so far, let's see how he attacks this track. I've noticed there's a lot of drivers who don't short shift in F3. Probably why they're in F3. No, but seriously though, the amount of time you can gain just by short shifting at some of these corners.
Maybe it isn't necessary for ABS.
Maybe. I don't really think ABS should affect short shifting. Maybe they're running traction control. And everyone's taking quite a narrow line into that corner. They're probably just following what the racing line says, which actually does lose you a lot of time because you can't quite take that smooth line to carry the momentum through the corner. So he's just going to run into a bit of traffic at the end of his lap here of Pangri. I don't think it will affect his lap at all. It doesn't look like
might even get a good slipstream.
Maybe. I think he's a bit too far back for a slipstream.
Yeah.
And of course he's not following right behind Pangri, but it's going to cross the line. It's a 16.2 from Gui, and I think that's going to be it from him. But the person we are focused on here right now is Pangri, who has switched to the soft tyres after doing his original lap on the mediums and getting P2. To be honest, if I was him, I'd just... Oh, as Gui retires on track. There's a quali bam. Yeah, Fryer goes into second with a 16.8. So he's gone 200ths quicker than Pangri, but of course Pangri did that lap on the other tyre and he's had to lift off. He's gone wide at the right hander. He's completely gone off the track. He's had to lift off. That's going to lose him a lot of time. Is he still up as he comes through the sector splits? No, he's down by 2.5 tenths. I don't think he's going to do it, Huisman.
I don't think it either.
Kai gets up into 4th place there, the 16.8. Final
Meshek
corner now.
is coming now to P7.
Let's see, is he able to find any time through this final sector with the softer rubber? As Ivan pits, he's not going to set up. At least everyone set a valid lap, and Cones into pole position there. Completely unexpected. And Pangui does not improve. So after all that, Pangui does not improve, and it is Cones who will take pole position here in Portimao. He went 8 tenths quicker on his final lap. Jesus.
That's a big surprise.
Yeah, 400ths separating the top two there. Very close qualifying session in the end. Even though it was looking quite spread out to begin with, but everyone finally got a lap in, and it was fairly close. I think it was a good qualifying session that we missed half of. But very interesting then. Pangri might be starting from 4th, but he is on that medium tyre. So Cones and Gui make it a Portuguese 1-2 here in Portugal, separated by just under 400ths. Then 6/10 back we have Fryer, who's separated by 200ths from Pangri, of course on that medium tyre. Then we have only half a tenth back Edzak, a tenth and a bit back Masiek, another 3/10 back Ivan, another 2/10 back Gongax, and then Band and Patuka rounded up the grid on medium tyres. Of course, Patuka gets a free choice of tyre, but Band will start on that medium that he did that lap on. So, looking interesting. What do you think there, Huisman?
I think it will be a really interesting race, and Pangri might get an advantage with his mediums. If he gets a right safety car call, he can get a great strategy.
Yeah, I think.
Wait, why am I in a car? Oh. I think I'm gonna make my debut.
No, Huisman, what have you done?
Should I do lap 1 and retire in the pit, or just leave now?
I don't know, if you leave now your AI will drive round, so just retire in the pits at the end of the first lap.
Okay, wait, then I have to start my wheel, otherwise I have to do it on pad. Then I might accidentally crash.
Do it on pad. Just do it on pad. It's fine.
Okay.
Just keep it on the track and just make sure you stay last, because pad get
I'm
good
gonna make my debut.
So we're away for the formation lap. Oh wait, I've just remembered. There's loads of new features on this game for like spectating, isn't there? Like it shows you tyre wear and stuff. I'm excited to see this actually.
I can guard assist on pad.
And we're going to watch Huisman. Oh, you're in the Red Bull. You're in the White Bull.
Yes.
I'm watching your onboard in this formation lap. The guy ahead of you's an AI, by the way. Why are you going so slow?
Yeah, I don't know how this works on pad. It's also a PS5 controller, so this is really weird. It's so weird and breaking. So,
I don't know if any of the drivers are watching this. Hopefully they're not, because I'm about to give away the entire strategy that they should do. So on this track, you want to do about 13 laps on the softs if you're starting on the softs, and then switch to mediums for the last 20. If you're starting on mediums, do 20 laps on the mediums and do the last 13 on softs. Obviously, if you undercut by a lap, overcut by a lap, works as well. Tyre wear, you should probably be looking to finish your stints, both stints, on about 50-55 tyre wear, depending on how good you are on your tyres. At least that's from my experience of my league race here. In another league, so yeah, I think really that's the strategy here. I think if you get a safety car before lap 5, it's worth hitting the hards to the end, because they get really good at the end. Once you start losing fuel, those hards become really quick, almost in line with a good set of mediums. So
I'm struggling to keep up with them on the formation lap.
Just drove through Patuka.
There's also a new guy joining, Jason 443.
I don't know if he's supposed to be here. I forgot to check that. Oh no! Fry Pepper is actually watching, and he said thanks for the tip.
I'm gonna win this race.
Yeah, you're not.
I'm gonna drive really slow.
Okay. I was just saying, the thing messed up for a second there, but now we have 5 red lights. And we're away here in Portugal. It's been a good start from the McLaren here, and Gui actually with quite a
Someone's
poor
on the
start
ground.
compared to Fryer. Fryer coming alongside for the outside of turn 1. Is he going to be able to keep on the track? No, he backs out, and there's been contact. Fryer's well off the track. Gui misses the corner as well. This allows Pangri to get through on Fryer. He's attacking Gui now, and Fryer's actually fighting Edzax through turn 3 and 4 here. Edzax getting squeezed out on the outside, but he's still going to carry that momentum. He's going to fight it down to the hairpin. Has the outside line for the hairpin. The outside line being the preferable line here at the hairpin. Just about enough room given by Fryer. Not so much room given in the background as Ivan has contact with Masiek, and Kaizachi falls down the order, down to 11th place there, as Jason gets past him. There's Kaizachi now 12th, and Huisman with a terrible start, all the way down in P13.
I don't know how to start on that.
Kai and Fry have penalties
Yellows.
already. Yeah, that's
I'm not last anymore.
Gongax is spun on the exit of the uphill right-hander. One of the harder tracks here. Edzak fighting back. Fryer just about giving room. I don't really know how well...
Guys is on the grass.
Ivan fighting Masiek, trying to go around the outside of the penultimate corner here, and he's going to get the traction on the Ferrari, so he does move up into 6th place here. And Edzak now still pressuring Fryer with much better momentum, and Fryer pits. I think he has wing damage. So Fryer into the pits at the end of lap 1, and Cones still leading the race, and Fryer retires. Why would you do that? It's lap 1. If you get a safety car on lap 2, you're back in the race. Oh, come on.
Completely agree. I would never retire in the pits.
Yeah.
Never.
In the
I would never retire in the pits.
Yeah, but to be fair, you have
Why would
to.
you do that?
You have to, though.
I already did.
Yeah, I know.
I am not last.
Oh, Fryer had side pod damage. Patuka going for the move on Bands now. And looks like Band's going to get the better traction, but he's going to get boxed in by his teammate Masiek, who had quite a poor exit from the hairpin. I don't think it's going to be enough to stop him from keeping the position, as he does stay ahead of Patuka here, as we have yellow flags as all the cars are leaving the exit of the pits after retiring in the pits. As Kai and Gongax are both also in the pit lane, as quite a crazy lap 1 has left the order a bit shuffled, really. And Cones, Gui and Pangri all quite nicely extending their lead from the rest of the pack. 2 Ferraris here really in the closest battle, I think. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the strategy, because Pangri of course going to have to go much longer, as Cone sets a 19.2 fastest lap of the race. Pangri of course going to have to go much longer, and he's going to get undercut by quite a few cars here, but I don't know if I don't know if that's going to be good or bad for him at the end when he has the soft tyres, or if it's just going to be losing too much by going long. I don't think he will. I think the mediums are quite a good race tyre around here, as we have Patuka going up the inside of Band. Band's going to have the outside with the better traction, but he doesn't quite get it right. A bit of oversteer there, and he has lost out to Patuka for P7, so Patuka moving his way up the field after that crazy lap 1. I'm going to call out Fryer here, because he said I had side pod damage, I couldn't steer. I'm going to remind him that side pod damage does not affect your steering.
Ooh, bad excuse.
Yeah, it's not an excuse, because it doesn't affect your speed of your turning. He just probably had wing damage and didn't realise.
By the way, I have to go now, I have to eat.
Okay, see you, Huisman. Everyone say bye to Huisman.
Bye. Bye, Huisman! Bye. Good luck with the rest of the race.
Right, see you.
Bye.
And we're down to 1. Maybe I can ask Mikulitz if he wants to join. As Huisman finally leaves the party. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so the fight actually at the top here is quite close, considering that Pangri is on mediums, remember. The softs do die kind of fast here, but I would have thought they'd be a little bit better than they seem to be performing. Gui now just outside of that 1 second he needs on Cones, and that will put him under pressure here from Pangri. of course, 2 corners time, he's going to have DRS. So unless he makes a massive mistake, you would expect him to get this position here, really, as he takes a much tighter line for the final corner, just trying to not get washed with dirty air. And you can see they reached the DRS line, which is there, and he's already only 3/10 behind. Is he going to go for the inside or the outside, though? As he actually doesn't get close enough, maybe not using enough ERS there, maybe doesn't really want to get past, I don't know, but maybe just for the moment seems happy to stay behind Gui, unless Gui burned all of his battery, which would make sense as well, as we've had another spin and it's Gongax again at that right-hander, which he seems to be struggling with at the moment. I don't really get why he didn't seem to be having too many troubles in qualifying, but all of a sudden in the race he's just really struggling. And we're going to move now to the McLaren of Patuca, right on the tail of Maciek. And look at this train here, such close racing from all of these guys. Of course, at the front of this train we have Edzak, followed by Ivan, Maciek, Patuca, and Banked at the back of the train, kind of falling off it but barely hanging on to DRS there. So as long as he's inside that DRS, he is still going to get pulled along a bit. And a mistake there from Patuca that could cost him a move into turn 1. Of course, Maciek also with the DRS, so really being 3rd, 4th or 5th in this train is kind of going to be boring, because everyone in front of you has DRS too, so you don't really have an advantage over them. However, the person with an advantage, Ivan Belov, is going for the move around the outside, as we've missed a move for P2, as Edzek backs out there, as Ivan didn't really leave much room, but Gui is going to try and fight it, but he is now behind Pangri. Does have DRS down to the hairpin though. Let's see what he can do with it. Overtake mode enabled. He's going to send it into the hairpin. Of course, as I've mentioned before, the outside is the line with the better traction, but Pangri decides to go for the switchback instead, and doesn't really get the exit that he needed. Has to slot back behind for 3rd place, and his attempt to get past on this lap hasn't really worked, and it's allowed cones to just pull further away. 2.5 seconds now the gap between the front two, as we move a bit further back, and Ivan now at the head of the train, followed by Edzak, Maciek, Patuca and Band. This little group of Maciek, Patuca and Band, I wouldn't really expect much changing, and without some kind of a mistake, purely because they don't really have an advantage over each other, as I said before, with the DRS. So unless one of them burns all of their ERS unnecessarily, or makes a fairly big mistake towards the end of the lap, I wouldn't expect to see much movement in this area, as Patuca running wide there gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Very unfortunate for him. Kai's actually also getting himself a penalty down in 10th place there. Now let's see Maciek here using his overtake mode on Edzak. Edzak closing in on Ivan though. Are they going to go 3 wide to turn 1? Not quite. And he's... Oh, Maciek. Oh, and Patuca's round 2. There's been 2 collisions here. So both Ferraris been involved in collisions here at turn 1. I don't know if maybe Maciek's spin caused the second spin, as Pangri looks to have finally gotten past Gui here and has consolidated the move there, but Maciek just a little bit too late on the brakes, stuck his nose in where it didn't belong, hit the back of Ivan and went round. Yeah, that's all on Maciek in my opinion, really. He just broke too late and messed it up a bit, but it has cost him and his teammate and Patuca. So what was quite a nice close battle of those 5 cars is now really become nothing, as that collision has completely changed the face of this race. I want to see if any of these guys now pit for damage or something, and how it's going to affect their strategy. They should be able to take mediums to the end from here. It won't be the nicest set of mediums come the end of the race, but they will make it. So it should be fine. And Ivan pulling over to break the slipstream, but Edzak deciding not to follow him here. Maybe thinking the DRS is going to be powerful enough that he doesn't need slipstream, but it isn't the case. He is going to have to stay behind for now. And maybe just deciding that he would prefer Ivan to pull him along instead of fighting him too much. I don't know. Very strange stuff at the moment, as both Band and Patuca are into the pit, so it seems that either both of them feel like their tyres are ruined from the spin, or they got damage of some kind. kind of hard to tell because there wasn't really any visual damage on the car of Patuka, but he has pitted, so we'll have to find out. And it looks like the two stops were of a similar length, so I'd assume their cars both had the same things done to it, so they either both had front wing damage or something. But that means really that you would imagine they probably hit the back of Masiek after his spin, is probably what caused that. So yeah, I feel like maybe Masiek could get reported for sticking his nose in there and causing damage to the cars behind. That could get him a penalty. And let's see now if Edzak wants to make the move this time around. He has the DRS open. Ivan not really attempting to break the slipstream. That's because he knows that Edzak over that 6/10 back isn't really going to be able to mount a move into turn 1 here, so he is safe for the most part. As we have yellow flags and Gui's out. What's happened to Gui? He's crashed on the exit of the left hander up the hill. Safety car, full course safety car is out now, and that completely changes things. This absolutely ruins the strategy of anyone starting on the mediums, because they kind of have to pit, but they can't pit for a set of mediums, which is what you want to go to the end here. They're going to have to choose hards. So yeah, it looks like just a mistake there from Gui, and it's changed the entire face of this race. And the poll in the chat here says that 44% think that Cones is going to win. Don't disappear on me. 11% thinking that Pangrio will win, which is definitely a possibility now, and 11% thinking Edzak will win, with 33% voting someone else. And Libanal is surprised at hearing Houseman's voice earlier. Not surprised, it's a first for a lot of people to hear Houseman's voice. And of course, all of these guys coming into the pits then, as Cones gets out in the lead, of course. Let's see what tyres they've chosen. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, to be honest. So Pangri, after having the advantage of the medium tyre and strategy, has kind of been ruined by the safety car, as has Ivan by the looks of things, but I don't think he was he on mediums? Or has he just chosen the hards thinking they'll be better? But Cone's now really in the best position to take his tyres to the end. They'll be fairly warm, probably towards 60%, but they will be a better tyre than Pangri's. Pangri will be fast at the end of the race, I'd imagine, but Cones will be, I think, fast enough throughout the rest of the race for it to not really matter. Ivan there in P3 as well, with a set of hards, with Edzak and Masiek P4 and 5 on the mediums. Jason in P6 has opted for a set of softs, so he's not going to the end. There will be another stop for the Mercedes driver. Then Kai P7 with mediums, Band P8 with hards, Batuka P9 with mediums, and Gongax P10 with hards. This brings Gongax right back into it, because he was really struggling earlier, but he is now with the rest of the pack, so maybe a possibility for redemption here for Gongax, which is good for him. Just going to look through. Fry's still trying to argue that sidepod damage affects your steering. It really doesn't. But I don't really know what's going to happen now in this race. I would put money on Cones winning, but of course anything can happen. There's still 22 laps to go. 23 if you include this one, so Still a long way to go in this race. You know, a mistake at just the wrong time could really cost him the race, you know. So with the nature of this track being completely new to a lot of these drivers, they haven't driven it in a league racing context before. There's a lot of unknowns for these guys, and I think that could really play into the result of this race. Especially as far as consistency and mistakes goes, it is quite a difficult track to get right, especially consistently right over this period of time. So yeah, I think it's still all to play for, no matter who you are. I've been told that my opinion of Imola is wrong. For context, I don't think Imola is a good track. Bear in mind, this is by a guy who has broken the world record for Imola multiple times. As the safety car is in this lap, so it will be up to Cones to pace the field now and get us going again. Whenever, of course, he has to wait till the safety car comes into the pit so he doesn't overtake it, but he can go whenever he wants apart from that. So just waiting now to see that McLaren bolt. When's it going to be? It's going to be now, just as he exits the final corner. No, it's not. He's absolutely fooled us, which I'm not sure how legally he did it, as long as he didn't speed up and slow back down. But he has now gone through the pit lane, and that has actually put Pangri under pressure from Ivan. Ivan with a much better launch, reacting much better. And the same case in the background for Edzak and Masiek. Masiek choosing not to go for that one, but banned maybe with the move from the McLaren. Oh, that's close, but it looks like Patuka just about gets ahead, and Jason is ghosting. So he seems to be an AI car. Didn't know that. But apart from that, it's been quite a tame restart, in all honesty. No one really being overly aggressive to get the positions. Everyone just being quite sensible and clean. Which of course is good. But it would have been nice to see at least one overtake. Edzak, though, with those medium tyres, does look to be pressuring the Williams of Ivan. So potential for something to come here, especially next lap when DRS gets enabled. Which, yeah, so I think they won't be able to use DRS this lap. I don't think they'll be able to use DRS the next time they come past the DRS line, but they'll be able to use it coming into turn 4 next lap. Will be the next time they're able to use it, so I think that's fine, as Fry has left the session. Now let's see. Is Edzak going to be able to get any kind of a run on Ivan? It doesn't really look like it. Ivan breaking the slipstream just to make sure, but what we do have here is Patuka around the outside of Kaizachi, and remember the outside line does have better traction, so Patuka now with that better traction moves his way up into 6th place ahead of Kai, and a pretty clean and easy move for him in the end, as there wasn't really much Kai could do to fight it. It's one of those corners, if someone gets alongside you and they choose the right line, there's not really a whole lot you can do to fight it without trying some weird lines, which of course risks contact or a crash, which of course you also don't want. So it is a tricky corner to defend if your opponent knows what they're doing, and that time unfortunately for Kai, Patuka had his plan perfectly in his head and executed it very well. Now this is very close between Edzak and Ivan. Is there potential for a move before we even get the DRS's cones going even faster? Told you that medium tyre was good, as Edzak, with DRS now enabled, of course cannot use DRS just yet. Moves his way up into P3, but what this does mean is that if Ivan sticks close enough through the next couple of corners, he will have DRS down to turn 4, and as we've seen, it is quite a good overtaking opportunity if you know how to do it. Is Ivan going to get close enough? He's 3/10 behind. DRS is open. not quite close enough, unfortunately. Edzak holding P3 and has moved his way onto the podium and can now look to chase down Pangri, of course, on the hard tyres. So Edzak with a tyre advantage there. Let's see how he uses it. 3.2 seconds is the gap as it stands, and Ivan already starting to fall back a bit, under pressure a bit from Masiek. I could really see this hard tyre hurting Ivan quite a lot, and seeing him fall back. Fortunately for Pangri, he doesn't seem to be struggling quite as much as Ivan is on that hard tyre, so having a bit of a better time on the harder rubber is Pangri. Luckily for him, and able to hold P2. He's actually still extending his gap over Edzak, despite Edzak having the medium tyres on. So looking good at the moment for Pangri, especially if he keeps close enough to Cones for the end of the race. Of course, Cones' tyres will wear out a lot quicker than Pangri's with the compound difference. So potential for something to happen there as Band and Kai now going at it. Kai staying ahead for now, but Band has the inside line into turn 3. Kai's going to try and hold it around the outside. He does successfully so far. It's just the inside for turn 4, but it's really a bit of an awkward line there, and will give Band DRS down into turn 5. Luckily, Kai has his own to defend with just about on the edge of a second there, and does hold the position as we come through turn 4 then. Good defence there from Kai, as he had the outside line for turn 1 and 2, which really helps you carry a lot more momentum the inside line. I find that if you stay on the inside line, you kind of get boxed out a bit. You kind of get forced a bit narrower than you'd like to go, and you lose a lot of speed over the apex that the car on the outside doesn't have to scrub off in the same way you do. And it allows them to carry so much more momentum around the outside. I really think the trick for Portimao is that at turns 1 and 4, the outside line is the best line. As I say turn 4, the hairpin's actually turn 5, as turns 1 and 2 are the same turn, pretty much, as you're driving it. But a big mistake there from Kaizachi. He has lost the DRS of Batuka, and this should be a pretty easy move now for Band. Should be able to move ahead before they even get to the corner. He does, and no real chance for Kai to launch a counter-attack here or any kind of defence, but he will get another chance as DRS. He's lost the back end a bit. That's going to lose him a lot of time. He's not going to get the move into turn 5 now. With that small slide, that mistake cost him the chance at a move, and it is down to P8 then for the Haas of Kai. Not a great race for Haas so far. Fry, of course, retiring at the end of the first lap, and Kai now down in 8th place. Tell you who is doing quite well is Ivan. Seems to have found a bit of pace again, got those hard tyres working, and he is starting to just stay with Edzak here. Obviously he is helped by the DRS, but it is still very easy on this track to get into the dirty air of another car and just lose that DRS through a small mistake or something. So he's doing well to stay with Edzak as it is. Obviously not really going to cause much threat with the 6/10 gap there down the main straight, but someone who is under threat is Kai, who's into the pits. Has he got damaged? What's going on here? There's Ivan's moved down to 5th. There's another set of mediums going on. Maybe an attempt at fastest lap. There's a big send there from Ivan, but maybe he's overcooked it. Yeah, he's been switched back there by Masiek. Maybe Patuka can come through, not quite. So he's not really getting the traction on the inside line there, but very strange. Ivan just losing the position to Masiek, despite looking comfortably ahead into turn 1. So maybe he ran wide, made a mistake, missed his braking point or something. Obviously the curbs on the inside of those corners are quite deadly too. Or maybe Masiek just went for a send into turn 3. Of course, there's a possibility. Does work, but not really the best move to be pulling, especially considering you've only got one corner between turn 3 and the next DRS zone. So yeah, completely missed that one. Quite strange, but hopefully we'll get to see it in a second. Not in a second. We'll get to see in a second Patuka and Ivan fighting for third position. Maybe even looking at Masiek's ERS levels being low, that might explain it. He looks like he's burned a lot more ERS than Ivan here, and that has come back to bite him a bit as we move on to the next lap 18 here. Ivan not quite able to stick with Masiek into the oh, that's a big lunge there from Ivan. I don't think he's going to be able to keep that position, as Patuka's going to come through and make the double overtake there into the hairpin. Looks like Ivan wanted to defend from Patuka, but he went for an attack on Masiek. He just went way too hot into the corner, and that mistake there hasn't actually cost him any positions, but it has changed the order a bit. Oh, that's a couple of silly moves in one lap there from Ivan. I'm not sure what's going through his head right now, but I think he needs to calm it down, otherwise he's going to lose his front wing if he's not careful. And it looks like Patuka, I saw his red light flashing there, so maybe Patuka's starting to derate as well. Used a lot of ERS at the moment. Yeah, Patuka has used a lot of ERS. The thing about Portimao is you don't really save any ERS over the lap here, so you really should only use it when you have to. And let's see, Ivan not quite close enough to make a move into turn 1 though. Can he hold it close enough through turns 2 and 3? Looks like he can. What about turn 4? There's a bit of lag there, making that one look a bit weird. Let's see, he's half a second behind. I don't think he is close enough into turn 5. He doesn't go for the move this time, and Masiek not really under much threat from his team, although Band getting much better exit there. Probably not able to try and into the next couple of corners, as they're not really in overtaking space, but definitely looking a lot more comfortable at the moment, Band, despite being on the harder tyre. And that is quite strange that we've got some of the guys running the harder tyres are actually almost more comfortable out there than some of the guys on the mediums, which the mediums is definitely the race tyre for this track, so yeah, quite strange actually to see, but we're going to just see how it plays out. 14 laps left to go, and 9 drivers, because Jason has of course left. As we finally get our deltas back, we were missing those. Masiek quite close to Ivan again, so that's going to kind of stop Band from getting any kind of an attempt. Ivan falling a bit off the back of Patuka. Patuka looking like he might have a bit more pace than Masiek did beforehand, so let's see how this one plays out. No one really close enough for a move into the hairpin, so it should stay as it is. Missing the apex there a bit, Masiek, bit of oversteering the exit, really struggling with that hairpin by the looks of things. And that really allows Band to close up through this section of the track, which is unfortunately for him not really somewhere you can make any overtakes. So yeah, just not quite working out for Band right now, but maybe in a few laps time, when those mediums start to wear out a lot more, those hards can really start to come into play and maybe open up some opportunities for a move here or there, as Jason's AI does finally pit and will get lapped by Cones and Pangui. As Pangui 1.4 is the gap to the lead, so he's staying quite close to Cone, not really losing any time despite being on that harder tyre. I think that really brings him into contention come the end of this race. And I see Masiek very close to Ivan, but of course Ivan still with his own DRS, just making it so that it's not really, as Kai gives himself a 3-second time penalty, not really going to help him too much. He might gain a little bit, but just not really getting close enough for a move, as Masiek struggling through turn 4 though. The dirty air does hurt you quite badly through there. A lot of the drivers opting not to use the curb when braking on the way into that hairpin is losing them a bit of time. Obviously opening up the corner allows you to carry more momentum in through the apex and therefore more speed. And also choosing not to use the curb on exit, which again widens the track a bit, lets you carry more momentum through the exit of the corner and get on the traction earlier, making the turn straighter. And Masiek with his own 3-second time penalty there we're just running a bit too wide. So a lot of these guys all on penalties. The top three are fine for the moment, as Edzak really starting to just pull away from Patuka a little bit. 2.2 is the gap now, 2.1. So yeah, just watch out for that gap over the next few laps. As Ivan getting a little bit closer to Patuka here, and not really close enough for moving to turn 1, but getting very, very close. You can see he basically pushed him through this section. Patuka is out of VRS, remember, so he doesn't really have anything to defend with should Ivan decide to go for an all-out attack. But luckily for Patuka, he does seem quite a bit stronger on those medium tyres for this section, just protecting him into turn 5, just cutting it off as an overtaking opportunity, as we have Jason's AI causing yellow flags by slowing down to let Gongax through to get lapped. So just gonna have to see how close Ivan can get coming into the lap. And actually, this is probably the closest I've seen Band to his teammate the whole time. Maybe a team order is going to happen here at Ferrari. Allow Band through, see if he can make up positions with those hard tyres, get Ferrari more constructors' points. Definitely a strong possibility if these guys are thinking about the constructors' game at least. 11 laps to go here in Portimao, and yeah, Patuka just starting to go defensive, Maciek starting to go defensive, but it looks like Band doesn't really have any ERS of his own to play with, as Ivan getting very close now, chooses the inside of turn 1, and that allows Patuka to go right around the outside, but I think he might have left the track there. I'm not entirely sure, and Ivan's running to the back of him, and that has damaged his front wing. So that is horrible stuff for Ivan now. He's going to have to pit to replace that, and maybe now Band looking for the move on Maciek. Gonna try and outbrake him around the outside, not really gone for a win, and yeah, not really much he can do there to make a move happen, but he does now have to contend with Ivan. Now how nice is Ivan going to be? He can't really control that. He's just off the track, and unfortunately losing more and more positions after that mistake, running into the back of Patuka into turn 3 after being in such a good position. I think he just chose the inside line coming into turn 1, really put him on the back foot. Patuka getting a much better run around the outside, potentially leaving the track, which could be cause for a penalty if he's retained the position by leaving the track, of course, as Kai's actually just running into a bit of trouble through turn 8, getting his Haas back underway there, as Band still very close to the back of Maciek, of course. Ivan into the pits, just not close enough this time round, Band, but maybe he can get closer through the next couple of corners. Of course, turn 4 quite difficult to stay close through, but if he can get it right and stay close enough, 4/10, is this going to be close enough for a move into the hairpin? Of course, Maciek now does not have any DRS of his own, so he's going to be much more vulnerable to the attacks of Band unless he can catch up to Patuka. The gap has come down a little bit since the incident with Ivan, so there is potential that if he keeps a good pace up, as Band with a huge slide there for the right-hander. Luckily not spinning it, keeping it under control. Very nice driving there from Band to keep that point the right way. And yeah, let's just see the gap. Maciek 2 seconds, 1.9 behind Patuka. If he can just push on a bit, close that gap, he could save himself by getting inside of the DRS range. And a 3-second time penalty for Gongax means that everyone in the bottom 6, so that's, well, the bottom 7, but Jason's disconnected to the bottom 6, so that's 4th place to 9th place, 10th including Jason, has now got a penalty. The top 3 yet to get any penalties between them. Attack now 10.9 seconds behind Pangri. Pangri though within the DRS zone of cones, so this could get very interesting as those hard tyres looking like they're starting to come into play now. Now this gap very close, just under 4/10 as they got to the DRS zone. Isn't close enough though, as Gongax pits, so that I think is just a calculated pit stop, because He will come out behind Ivan, but the team itself won't lose any points from that pit stop, and he can go for the fastest lap. So both Ivan and Gongax on soft tyres looking for the fastest lap. Could work out quite well for them there. And just seeing how close Band is able to stay. Is he able to keep it close through that final corner though? That is the crucial point for getting an overtake done, as we have more yellows. It's Jason. So was that the AI that made a mistake, or is it actually a player? I don't know. But it looks like here he has managed to keep it close to the final corner, and this will be great. You can have such a good run on Maciek plus the DRS. Maciek moving quite aggressively there. I think that was more than one move, but doesn't really affect things as Band gets quite an easy move in the end into P5 there and is free to chase down Patuka. Let's see if he has the pace over Maciek, or if Maciek's going to try and fight him back. Obviously I don't know what kind of communication these two have with each other, but if they were playing it smart, it would be worth Maciek just sticking behind, letting Band pull him forwards and see if Band can catch up to Patuka, and if they can kind of go 2-on-1 against Patuka, as Ivan does set the fastest lap of the race, and see if that gives them any opportunities to fight for higher positions as a team. And just switching to this fight here, coming through the final two corners now, is Pangri and Cones. Pangri half a second behind. This is definitely a good range to be if he wants to go for the overtake. 4/10 as they reach the DRS line. So let's see who's got the ERS and who doesn't. Looks like Pangri with much better run here, moving to the inside of turn 1, but that is going to... As I said, that would allow Cones to have a much better momentum through turn 1, but Cones looking for a switchback, a very odd manoeuvre, not really the line you want to be taking through turn 1, so maybe he just wanted the DRS down into turn 5, but if that was the case, it hasn't worked out for him at all really. And I think Cones should have probably tried to stick to the outside, brake late, stay on the outside, use an extra downshift to help engine brake into the corner, just to help get the move done. But that's a mistake there from Pangri, and that's allowed Cones to get down the inside, of course, through the flat corner. It's going to be the outside for this long sweeping right hander, double apex, of course, and he's just about given the room on the outside. But was that the smartest move? Did he have to make that move there and put himself ahead coming into the DRS zone? I don't know. I think that was probably a mistake to go for that move there. He should have just been more patient and waited for this DRS zone here. It's going to be quite an easy pass to get back past from Pangri. It's just going to breeze past with DRS, no problem. I don't really know why Cones felt the need to make that move right there, but he has, as Band actually closing up to Patuka here, so has cut the gap down to just over a second. So Ferrari's teamwork has paid off here, as both cars are able to close in on Patuka. And fastest first sector of anyone there from Pangri now that he's been released into clean air. Of course he did have DRS assistance, but so have plenty of other drivers, as Band now very close to the back of Patuka. Just a bit too far behind to really make anything work into the next corner, I think, but I believe he does have more ERS than Patuka. I think both of them are quite low, but I do think the Ferrari car has the advantage, and actually has dropped his teammate outside of the DRS range. So Maciek trying to have himself pulled along by Band towards Patuka, and has ended up dropping outside of the DRS himself, so just unable to keep up with his teammates' pace here on the hard tyre. And maybe the hard tyre was the right choice looking at up and down the field. At that safety car pit stop, maybe the mediums just don't quite have enough life on them. They're just hitting the cliff a little bit too early, and that is causing the hard tyres to really come into play here, as Cones unable to really come back at Pangri that lap. So yeah, I mean, Pangri trying to extend his lead, as Band now with a pretty fair run on Patuka. Easy move long before they get to the braking zone. So Patuka losing 4th place to Band there, and this fighting has allowed Maciek to actually get back within DRS range. So maybe something coming from Maciek soon, and if his teammate wants to help him out a little bit here. Of course, with the laps left, 4.5 laps left, maybe a bit late for Band to get after Edzak, but you never know just how badly those tyres have fallen off the cliff. Edzak losing a lot of time every lap to Cones and Pangari, so maybe if those hard tyres are good enough on that Ferrari, he can even make good inroads into Edzak's P3 and try and steal a podium here for his team. And I think his two options here are either to get outside of Patuca's DRS, which he has managed to do, which will help his teammate out a lot because Patuca will no longer have that DRS advantage. His other option was to back up Patuca in the crucial moments to help his teammate get through, but I think this is probably the safer option. It does open the potential for him to close up on Edzak. He has closed quite a bit this lap, so it's definitely honest. Patuca has a puncture. Patuca has had a puncture here on lap 30. We are 4 laps from the end, and that is a puncture for someone who stopped just 1 lap before that safety car. So that calls into question what's going to happen with Maciek, what's going to happen with Edzak, what's going to happen with Cones. Are their tyres going to make it to the end? As these guys all stopped under that safety car, so their tyres are only 1 lap younger than Patuca's just were, and Patuca's have punctured, so definitely a possibility for some more tyre failures in the remainder of this race, and it just calls into question maybe Patuca just didn't manage his tyres as well, maybe something else is going on there, or maybe they've just made a bad choice by going onto the mediums under that safety car. I didn't think it really was that bad of a choice. I've seen people go longer than that on a set of mediums, but clearly not worked out for Patuca here, and crucially could affect the races of Cones and Maciek, who have, as well as Edzak, who have been on these tyres now for just as long as Patuca's were on the car when they punctured. So yeah, I mean, Cones now 20 laps on the mediums, and Patuca's went up on 20 laps. So this lap here, lap 31, could be the lap where it all changes, really. Cones still with good pace, so I don't think it's quite as worn as Patuca's were, but I don't know if Patuca's maybe run over some debris which has caused that, or as we have yellow flags, and that is just Jason. I was so ready for that to be a puncture. Luckily it's not a puncture for anyone, it's just the Mercedes of Jason let in through other cars. Now let's see, Cones just outside of that DRS zone. Oh, and he's had a big slide there. Tyres look fine, so it doesn't look like that was a slide because of any issue. It's just a mistake getting on the power too much there, unfortunately for him. But it has meant that he's unable to get the DRS, but he has got enough ERS in the tank to just burn a bit and close back into the DRS range. Just 9/10. He's going to have to fight really hard to keep it inside of this 1 second gap, as he's not managed to do it coming up into turn the exit turn 4. The medium's really going off a cliff here, so the hard tyres look to have been the right choice after all, and I'm still really worried that one of these guys are going to get a puncture. But it does look like all 3 of them have managed to make their tyres last a little bit longer than Patuca. Maybe managing them just a little bit better than Patuca is able to, as Patuca setting the fast lap of the race in 18.1. Small consolation for to be fair, he only lost 1 position, but he's probably lost more points than he's gaining by that fastest lap. But you never know, he could see one of the drivers ahead of him get a puncture themselves, and that could bring him right back into it. I think Edzak might just be a little bit out of reach here at the moment. Cones certainly is, but Maciek getting a puncture here would bring Patuca back into that P5 that he had before, as Maciek runs quite wide there. Maybe a bit of tyre wear starting to cause a bit of understeer through there, or maybe just a general bit of missing the apex a bit. It is quite an understeery corner as it is. just looking, you can really see, this game's quite good for this, but you can really see the graining on the tyres, especially if you look to the front left, which is the tyre that takes the most pain at this track. You can really see the graining. It is slightly visible on the front right, not really so much. And if you look on the rear tyres, again on that rear left, which is on the right side of your screen, you can just see small lines appearing. You can see it on the right as well, but that front left looking to be the tyre that's taking the most pain at this track, which makes sense. A lot of fast left-handers putting a lot of load on the tyres, so you would expect that, but yeah, just waiting to see, does someone suffer the same pain as Patuca here, or do they all make it to the end? Maybe, I know Patuca obviously got run into the back of earlier in the race, maybe run over a bit of debris because of he was around quite a lot of action earlier on, so maybe that affected his tyres in a way that it's not affecting these guys' tyres. But I'd imagine Maciek especially would have some issues with the tyres, but it is the last lap. Cones has made his mediums last to the end. Edzak should make his mediums last to the end. Yep, does make it then. Band comes home in P4, getting quite close to Edzak there in the end. Obviously the penalties changing that. Maciek just getting his tyres to the end, P5, and it's just pain for Patuca, the only driver to suffer a puncture after that strategy choice. And unfortunately it's only P6 for him, but he does get the fastest lap to just soften the blow a little bit. Ivan coming home in P7 after his earlier mistake and losing his front wing, doesn't get the fastest lap after his attempt to do so earlier on. And Gongax, the final finisher on the lead lap, and he comes home there in P8. Kaizachi P9 was a lap down, and the Mercedes driver, who I don't have a clue who that was, didn't seem to be racing for most of the race, comes home in P10. And there it is, your winner. There's a slightly different phone celebration to the one from last year's game. I think I preferred last year's phone celebration. Just generally not loving the customization in this game this year, really. But after a Portuguese front row lockout here in Portugal, it is a Greek winner. Cones only managing a P2 and an I think that's a Latvian P3 from Edzak. So very good stuff there. That's not. I'm gonna have to Google this. Anyway, so your winner today, Pangri, with a very nice drive. Looked like his alternate strategy was kind of ruined when the safety car came out, but he chose the hard tyres, and it turned out to be a blessing in disguise as the mediums really started to fall off a cliff towards the end of the stint. Cones, unfortunately, only managing P2 after his mediums were just destroyed. Edzak, a solid P3 after quite a quiet race. He got involved in a bit of action, but it was a fairly quiet race. Band getting the P4 there for Ferrari 4 and 5 as Maciek comes home in P5. Solid drive from both Ferraris, really. Band definitely a shout for driver of the day. Pangri the other good shout for that. Patuca P6, and just how much pain is this man in? Gets a puncture, the only person to get a puncture, and that moves him down to P6 for what was a possible P4, probably a P5, but does get the doesn't get the fastest lap even to help with that. It was in fact Kaizachi who got the fastest lap. Ivan Belov P7 looked to be getting a strong position earlier on in the race, just made a mistake, ran into the back of Patuca breaking his front wing, and P7 is the best he could manage for Williams. P8 for the other Williams of Gongax, both Williams only moving up one position in this race, which is still decent. Kaizachi though, from P5 on the grid down to P9 after just too many mistakes in that race, just really struggling with that right hander it seems, and unfortunately P9 was all he got with the fastest lap, if it's any consolation at all. Jason, still no clue who that is. but your non-finishers today, Gooey Rude and Fry Pepper. It says Huisman there. We know about Huisman. He was talking in the party. Gooey Rude, yeah, I still don't know what happened to him. He just kind of came out of turn 4 and crashed on the inside wall, which I haven't seen before. It was kind of confusing at the time, but it was the cause of that safety car that changed the face of this race. And of course, we know Fry manually retired at the end of the first lap after his side pod damage that he's convinced affected his steering, even though side pod damage doesn't affect your steering. But we move. I would just like to say a quick thank you to everyone who came along to watch. Means a lot, especially since I don't normally commentate this, and it was quite last minute, so sorry for the late start to this stream. But hope you all enjoyed it. I need to check the calendar to see what next week is. But I hope you will come along next week to whoever ends up commentating this one. Probably not going to be me. There's a small chance it could be me, but I don't know. Maybe the normal commentator will be back, whoever that is. If I can find the calendar, there it is. And yeah, hopefully you join us next week for the Italian Grand Prix. This is the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. It's the week after that we get the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola, which will be interesting considering Imola only came out earlier this week on Wednesday. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. Hopefully you're enjoying this F3 season and we'll come back next week. And hope you'll have a great rest of your day.